Welcome to everyone. My name is Amy Hollingsworth, Dr. Hollingsworth. You can call me Dr. H. I know Hollingsworth can be a little bit of an intimidating name. Welcome to Natural Science Biology. This is our class 3100, 103, 800. In case any of you are worried about being in the proper place. We will meet every Tuesday and Thursday, so I look forward to a good semester and getting to know everybody that's in here. Before I start really getting into what we're going to be doing in class, I want to make sure that in case anyone in here requires special accommodations for this course, like if you need printed copies of things, if you need a note taker, I know that I do have a blind student this semester, something that's captioned. Please let me know about that. The Office of Accessibility sends me all of these reports about everybody, but since I have close to 1,000 students that I have to chase after, it's hard for me to keep track of who everybody is. And so please, if you require accommodations, please let me know about that. In delving right into the course, the textbook and the lab manual are required for the course in that the textbook, at least, you're required to have access to it. Not necessarily that you have to buy it, as we were talking about it a little before the class started. There is a copy of it on course reserves in the Bierce Library, and I believe there's also a copy of the textbook in the Science Library. So if you haven't purchased that book yet, I will make you kind of the warning that I make to students every semester, which is that it's in your best interest to have a copy of the textbook. There is going to be some required reading for the course, and you are going to need it in order to study. If you have access to it because you have a friend that's taken the course, or you have a roommate that has taken this, or you have access to it in the library, that's fine with me, but I'm not going to say don't get the book, because you do need the book. You do need to have the information that's in the book. I will leave it up to you as to how you get that. However, the lab manual is required, and hopefully you guys are all finding your labs. For some of you, I am your lab instructor as well as your lecture instructor. That is actually my main job here at the university. I'm the biology lab coordinator. I run 16 sections, and I have 10 graduate students that work for me. And I'm going on my 6th year here, so I have taught about, I guess it would be 11,000 students by this point. So I'm pretty good at it by now. The website that I'll be using for most of my communications is my personal website. It's not like I'm going to try and sell you guys something, or that I'm trying to make you buy something from Amazon. I'm not sure why that popped up. But if you are a person that likes to follow along with the slides on your laptop, please feel free to go to 7minutescientist.com. Kind of the idea behind that was that I try not to do anything in more than chunks of about 7 minutes, because I feel like that's about what students can pay attention to straight for about 7 minutes, and then you get the urge to look at your phone. Like, I can already tell that my phone is flashing and buzzing. So please, I ask that you try to concentrate for these 7-minute chunks, and then I'll kind of try and break it up and do some different things. We'll do a lot of things with video in this course. I'm pretty technologically savvy, so I try and put everything online. And I try and do motivational stuff and pretty stuff. That's kind of what I like to do. So hopefully you will enjoy that as well. In getting to the syllabus for the course, I didn't print it out because I wasn't sure how many students we were going to have. So I have the syllabus here on my computer, and I will print these out so that you will have them for next time. So in going through the syllabus, I'm going to walk you through this really fast. It'll be printed for you next on Thursday, and it will be online for you. And I will probably find more mistakes, so I want to change it up, and so I will attempt to have everything correct by a certain point. If you are looking for me, I am in Schrank Hall North. This is Lee Hall, and we're in 510 for our class. I'm over in Schrank Hall North. My office is actually in the back of where you have lab. So if you've already been to lab, you've already seen where I spend like 8 hours a day. But if you haven't been to lab yet, then it's over in Schrank Hall North. It's right above the computer testing center. And you can see my phone number and my email. I will warn you that I never answer my phone and I never check my messages. So if you want to get a hold of me, getting a hold of me via email is the best way to do it. And I'm usually pretty good at getting back to emails pretty quickly. For this class, as I already said, the required course materials, the second edition of What is Life by Phelan. It's got a picture of a zebra on the front of it. You are free to use the ebook if that's what you would choose to get. I would choose to get the ebook. I think it's cheaper than the print book. And also you can look at it like on your iPad or your laptop. You can always have it with you. And so if you want to study biology all the time, you feel free to do that. The lab manual is Big Picture Biology. It is the third edition, and I wrote it, so I know that it is really, really awesome. It's really fun. I think that lab is cool because you get a chance to actually get in there and get your hands dirty and play with stuff. For those of you who have already been to the lab, you've done the termites. We work with a lot of other cool things as we make through the semester. Maybe that's not cool to you. I think it's cool. We play with all kinds of fish and crayfish and all kinds of different stuff. So that's a pretty exciting part. But then lecture I think is fun too because we get to delve a little bit deeper into the course material, which I think is really pretty fascinating. So in talking about the course description and the objectives, this is the science course that you take if you are not going to be some kind of science major. So if you're in engineering, if you're planning to become a nurse, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be some kind of scientist, this is not the course for you to be in. This is the non-majors biology course that has a lab for it, so we meet the general education requirement, which is a science course with a lab. You had your pick between geology and chemistry and physics, and then I think you chose the best one, so you're in biology. We'll talk a little bit over the course of the semester about scientific investigations, genetics, evolution, and ecology, and we will basically do those 4 units. It'll be separated into 4 units, 4 tests: scientific investigations, genetics, evolution, and ecology. The lab is required, so if by chance any of you are signed up for lab in the Wayne College, which is down in Orrville, or if you're signed up for lab anywhere else, you need to take both the lab and the lecture here at the main campus of Akron. So you need to be enrolled in that. We'll meet for 3 hours a week, and then lab meets for 2 hours a week. And lab is completely separate than lecture. We won't necessarily follow along with everything that we're doing in lecture in the lab. I try to match them up, but it's hard because I am one of 4 lecture instructors, and so they all teach at their own pace. And if you're in a different lecture instructor, you may not be doing the same thing in lab. But that's also nice because then you get a nice little compact lecture, usually about 20 minutes, and then you get a chance to do your laboratory. And they do go together, but not exactly. So one of the things that's required for the course is that you pass the lab. We haven't always required that, but we found that students try to not go to lab at all and just pass based on tests. And you can't do that. There's no way that you could pass this course without going to lab. So you do need to pass the laboratory, and the laboratory usually brings students' grades up. when we have a class like this where we have major tests that are multiple choice and true and false and matching, usually lab that is more participation based is going to bring students' grades up. And so that's a bonus for you, is to be able to go to lab and get a better grade in this class. We'll talk a little bit more about grades, or I guess I could just talk about them now since they're right there. The grades for this class are 75% lecture and 25% lab. So the way that I've separated it up is into about 1,000 points. So 1,000 points, 750 of those come from lecture, 250 of those come from lab. I will be offering, bless you, not just the tests in here, but we'll also have some homework, we'll have some in-class questions, we will have some bonus points, so you should have plenty of opportunity to get your 750 points. And then lab, I know, is set up so that you can definitely get 250 from lab. Let's see. If you have any questions about your grades, or if you find that as we're going through the grades, and all of your grades will be posted on Springboard, if you have any problem with those, please get in touch with me as soon as possible. If you come back to me at the end of the semester and say, oh, I think I got more points on test 1, that's too far in the past. So I put down here 5 days. If you have a question, just make sure that you stay on top of that. There's lots of opportunities for bonus points. There's extra in-class questions. But I've had this question before, like, can you make up another test so that I can take it? No. Can you do like a poster in place of your test? No. This is going to be one of those classes where you are going to need to be able to pass these tests. And if you have any problems with that, definitely come and talk to me about it, and I will make sure to make this as painless as possible. Lab meets the first week of the semester. Attendance is mandatory. In class, we will do some quizzes, and some of them will be announced, and some of them won't be announced. So it's in your best interest to come here every day. Make sure that you are filling in everything as best as you can, and that you are doing things and turning them in on time. Some of the things that I'll have you do for this class will be posted to the Dropbox on Springboard, and whenever I do that, I usually give you until midnight to turn it in. I will tell you that that is probably the worst thing you could possibly do, is wait until midnight to try and turn in things on the Dropbox, because your computer will do something weird at like 11:45, and there's no way that you'll get your things turned in. So just because something is left open until midnight, don't wait until 11:59 to hit submit, or you're gonna end up having issues with that. Our exams in here will be done in the Computer-Based Testing Center. I think I had put on here that we were going to have them in class. I kind of go back and forth. I like to do them in the Computer-Based Testing Center because it gives students the option to go in when they feel that they're ready. And if you do your exams here in class, then if you have car trouble or if you miss the class, then you're out of luck. So I will probably do our exams in the Computer-Based Testing Center, but if anybody has a huge objection to that, I could be persuaded to do it another way. So you guys know what I'm talking about? Like, if you come in here and you take those Scantron tests, there's always somebody who's like, oh, I didn't bring my ID, or I don't have any pencils, or I didn't fill out my Scantron right. It just seems like it's easier to do in the Computer-Based Testing Center. So I guess we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get closer to the first exam. When I hand you out this syllabus on Thursday, the best thing that you can do is put your exam dates into your calendar ahead of time. I'm not going to change the dates of those. Those will be kind of set in stone. So if you put those on your calendar now, that is a very, very good idea. For the homework for this class, like I said, I'm not going to have you do it in PrepU. I'll have you do it in Springboard. Therefore, you don't have to worry about purchasing an access code. Although my other 3 professors do that, I'm going to do everything online. So I'm not sure if any of you are still using Explorer, Internet Explorer. Everything that you should do for this class should probably be done in Chrome, because that's the best way to view all of these things. In class, we may be doing some in-class questions, in-class quizzes, and when we do those, I will explain to you more of how they work when we get to those. Section 3, class policies. One thing that I guess, if you could say, is my pet peeve, or the thing that I'm the strictest about, is being on time, because I will start talking at 5:10. So please try to be on time. If you're not going to be here at 5:10, at least let me know that you're going to be late. I will probably have you enter through the back door, so I'll have to see exactly how you get to there from here. Just because if you come in at 5:15, I'll turn and look at everybody who walks through the door. So please don't be disruptive of class. Don't be disruptive of me. If you do anything crazy, I will kick you out. Please make sure your electronics are turned off. I'll go through with you every time and say, all right, I'm turning off my phone. You turn off your phone. If you have anything else that's beepy or buzzy, then please turn that off as well. I ask that when you're here in class, if you're using a laptop, that's great. If you're taking notes on it, that's fantastic. Don't be playing on Facebook or watching YouTube videos while you're supposed to be doing something in class, because everybody who's behind you will look at your Facebook and look at your YouTube. And I've had students do weird things, watch weird videos in class, and so please don't do anything strange. Please don't talk while I'm lecturing. If you have to stop me at any time, please feel free. I'll answer any of your questions. If you feel like you have something that could add to the lecture, I'm definitely willing to talk about it. Please don't sit and have outside conversations, because one of the things is you don't want to disrupt the other students in this class. I understand that some people will talk. Please don't make me yell at you. So if there's anything that's distractions going on in class, I reserve the right to ask you to take them outside. Last semester, we had a student pull out one of those electronic cigarettes and smoke it in the middle of class. So don't do that, please. It was really strange. They said, oh, the electronic cigarettes aren't covered under the university's smoking policy, and so I can do it in class. And I was like, well, I don't think you can do that in class. But so I had to put that in my syllabus. Seems kind of strange. Arriving late, leaving early, please make sure that you're sitting towards the back and that you kind of sneak out. And please, if you do come in late, don't walk here in front of all of the students and distract them. Like I said, I am available during my posted office hours will be the hour before class starts, but I'm usually over there in the lab, so if you need anything between 8 o'clock and about 5 o'clock, with the exception of lunch, although I'm usually in my office at lunch too, feel free to stop by, or if you want to make an appointment with me, I'll meet with you at any time. Like I said, the best way to reach me is through email. And I ask that please, if you email me, that you put our class in the subject line, the 3100, 103, 800. Because I do have 1,000 students to chase after, it's much easier for me to figure out who you are and where you go if you tell me which class it is. And so I will always try and get back to you. If for some reason I don't get back to you within 24 hours, you can put a second attempt in there, and I will definitely answer you back. Please, in here, no academic dishonesty, none of the no plagiarism. We'll talk about what that means. Please don't cheat on your tests. If you do, then you're in trouble. Talking a little bit about what we're going to be talking about over the course of this semester. And I'll get more into this in the PowerPoint, so just so you know, I have everything planned out pretty well as to what we'll be doing in the lectures. And I've got chapters that you're going to be needing to read each week. The material that's going to be on the exam, it's not going to be cumulative exams. They're going to be over the units that we discuss in class. So exam 1 will only cover chapter 1, 2, and 3. So make sure that you're reading those. Make sure that you're prepared. And please feel free to ask me if you feel like you have questions that I don't cover in class. So let's see. Last day to withdraw is 10/13. Hopefully none of you are going to do that. We'll, like I said, go through this as we move along. It's a tentative schedule, but like I said, the exam dates will be set in stone, so we will definitely have those exam dates. For this course, we have tutoring in the Bierce Library. They have an actual tutor that will sit down with you if you find that you need further explanations of any of the topics. They also have e-tutoring and e-chat and all kinds of great stuff. They have those for other courses too. So if you're taking other courses like your English, math, statistics, they've got all kinds of tutors over there in the library. And since you pay for them anyways, you might as well use them. They can be great study buddies. You can also do that online, so you can submit a ticket and they will help you online. Some of the ways to do the best in this course, how to succeed at this course, make sure that you come to class. Even though I will be putting these lectures online, it's still best for you to be in here and get a chance to interact with your peers, get a chance to talk to me, be here for in-class questions, be in here for the in-class quizzes, but be keeping up with the course on the website. And definitely be reviewing the things that you are unsure of. Make sure that you are reading the book, focusing mainly on the information that we've covered in class. That's mostly what I will focus on for the exams, but make sure that you are understanding all the information in context. One of the best ways that I find to study for this course is to look at the titles in the book and write the things that we talk about in class, reorganize, rewrite your notes. I think that's one of the best ways to study, and then to listen to the YouTube videos or to the lectures that I post, again, if you feel that you need to. PrepU is something that you can use to study, so if you did get a PrepU code, then you can do some of their flashcards, and they have the ebook, and they have videos, and they have all kinds of great stuff online. I will just try to provide you all with the resources so that you don't have to have that code. Consult outside sources. There's all kinds of information on the web that you should be able to find. Make sure that you're asking questions. I definitely welcome questions, and I love to talk about this stuff. So if you're unsure, then ask me, ask your classmates, and if you're still stumped, then we'll figure it out together. Make sure that you are studying with others. I always encourage people to form study groups. I think that's one of the best ways that you can learn, is to study with your peers. So as you get to know people in class, as you get to know people in your lab, you'll come up with a study group and study together. Work with those tutors and come see me during office hours. I'm definitely open to sitting down with you if you want to know more about this course. And so here is the signature page, which I will give to you next time. And continuing on with the, oh, I don't know if it's going to start at the beginning. Ah, it did. Okay. Is there anything I can stop and answer for you right now? Sometimes I get so excited that I'll just keep going and going. Feel free to wave at me or... Yes, ma'am?
Real quick. Are we allowed to audio tape?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Sure. If you want a video, if you want an audio, you feel free. I'm fine with that. If you find that you're going to miss class and that you could be in class, if you want to Skype in or anything, I'm all up for technology. So whatever you want to do, I'm cool with that. Do you have a question?
So you said we don't need the prep CD1?
You do not. No. Yes?
You kind of hinted at it, but it's okay if we have lab before lecture, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
I thought so, but I just want to make sure.
No, if you have it earlier than lecture, that's fine. They're standalone, so it's not like one depends on the other one. So yes, definitely. Anything else before I move along? Okay. So continuing on, laboratory is a great learning experience. You do have lab this week. Make sure that you're attending the section for which you are enrolled. And because I do coordinate the class, I also like to hear how the laboratory is going with the different teaching assistants. So if you want to tell me anything really good or really bad about them, I love to hear that stuff, or I love to find out and help people if they're having issues. The laboratory manual is available on the bookstore, and then I'll show you where everything is online. Since I wrote the book, I'm kind of taking it on myself to put everything into an online website, and I'm attempting to make that happen. It's not going as quickly as I had hoped, but it is coming along. So what I would like you to do at this point is I'd like you to get to know some of the people that are around you, because these will be the people that you might need to get their notes from, you might need to get information from. So if you'd like to at least introduce yourselves, if you feel comfortable with it, exchange email addresses, or if you want to do social media, feel free to do that. So I'll give you a couple of minutes, and if you have anything specific you want to ask me, I'm going to walk around a little bit. So take just a couple of minutes. Yes. Sure.
How soon will we need this book? Because my financial aid hasn't came yet, and they said it probably won't be here till next week, like next Tuesday and Wednesday.
If you have it by next week, you should be in good shape.
Oh, okay.
You should be all right. It's not going to be, I'm going to have you read chapters 1 and 2 this week. You just have to make up for that a little bit. So
Okay.
you should be all right, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't got this.
Were you waving at me? Were you waving at me?
No.
Oh, okay. Yes.
2 editions of the book. Which one should we get?
The second edition.
Second edition.
Yes.
The one without zebra. But there was
So
2 with.
both of them have zebras on it, but it's the second edition. So let's see if I can. Oh no, it doesn't go for. It's that one.
That one.
Yes.
Do you know how much the lab is?
I think it's $40, I think.
Because I'll be a lab tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. You got it. How much did that cost you, if you don't mind me asking?
This? It was like $54 or something.
Oh.
Bad at all. It was close to 60. You're serious?
Was not supposed to be that expensive.
It wasn't. Well, I have the receipt. Hold on.
Really?
When I went in to search for my book, yeah, it was like 50. So when I went to the bookstore, I'm like, oh yeah, I think it was too. I'm like,
Where did that come from? I'm sorry. I keep emailing the people at the bookstore, and they keep not doing what I ask them to do. I apologize for that.
sure I need that?
Yes.
That's $55 more.
Yes.
I know. I didn't. If
you can direct your attention back up here to me. If you can direct your attention back up here to me, please. Back up this direction. All right. So as we continue on, talking to you a little bit about what we're going to talk about over the course of the first unit. One of the things that I like to have students do, which I think is so funny, is to picture a scientist in your head. I often find that when people would say that to me, picture a scientist in your head, I picture Albert Einstein, the guy with the crazy hair and looking kind of eccentric and wild. There was a study where the BBC asked 8- and 9-year-olds to draw a picture of what they thought scientists looked like. And so, as you would notice, they are wearing lab coats. They usually look kind of crazy. They have the wild hair. They might have a microscope, or they are causing something to explode. And one of the things that I think is the most telling about this is that, first of all, they're all white, and second of all, they're all male. And so I find this interesting because if you are to Google scientists and go to the Google images, again, you find that they are all white, and you'd think they were all male, but if you look at that second to last one right there, that is actually a female. She isn't really awesome looking, but... that is the only female that comes up when you search for scientists. And that is Rosalind Franklin. We'll talk about her eventually. So the BBC in December of 2000 asked children, what do you see as far as scientists? And they basically all said middle-aged white males who never have any fun. That scientists are very boring, and that they know a lot of details about subjects that they don't know much about, and that they like to do things that have the chance to blow up. Now, that part is true. We do like to blow things up, but we are not all male, and we are not all white. And so I think it's important to note that biology isn't something that you only study if you want to become a medical doctor, if you want to become a professor, if you want to become a researcher. There are all kinds of different things that you can do as far as professions go if you are interested in science. You can study all kinds of different living things, not just the big animals. If you think of Jane Goodall, who's out there studying the chimps, or if you think of Albert Einstein, he's not even a biologist. But there are all kinds of different things that we can study and all kinds of different jobs that are possibilities out there. I know a lot of you may be interested in nutrition. You may be interested in sports. You may be interested in the environment, or you may be interested in food science. There's all kinds of different professions that we can have that are not just these boring men in lab coats that are looking at a microscope or making things explode. There are all kinds of things you can do with research, and there are all kinds of things you can do with making connections. And so just to give you guys a little bit of my background, I am actually from this area. I went to Norton High School. And then I graduated from Mount Union College with a degree in environmental biology. I actually studied dirt, and so I know that's really exciting. When I graduated with my degree in dirt, I was not sure what I was going to do as far as a job goes. I thought, oh, maybe I'd like to go into pharmaceutical sales. Maybe I'd like to become a veterinarian. Neither of those two things were happening, and so I got the opportunity to move down to the Mexican border and teach biology on seriously, looking across the river into Mexico. I taught to 99% first language as Spanish Mexican high school students. It was really, really interesting. I did that for 10 years, also taught chemistry, taught anatomy and physiology, and I taught a lot of people English. So that was a very interesting experience. And while I was down there, I thought, oh, I would really like to lead this high school. So I got a master's degree in educational administration. And right as I planned to take over, that sounds like a power grab. I was going to take over the high school. Right as I was preparing to become a principal, I found out that I was pregnant, and I was 150 miles away from the nearest hospital. The only hospital that was anywhere near me besides San Antonio was in Mexico. And because I'm a diabetic, I had a very, very risky pregnancy. And so because my family is from here and my mom is a nurse, I ended up moving back up here. And it was a good thing that I did, because during my C-section, both of my eyeballs exploded. And so I've actually had 20 eye surgeries to return my eyesight to normal. And I did all of that while making it through my PhD and working here. So I was blind for 3 months, and I had eye problems for about 2 years, but thankfully they were able to fix that. So yay, science. And so when I moved back up here, I started working at the university, and they said, oh, as part of your job, you can take 2 classes every semester towards any degree that you want. So because I had been a teacher in Texas, I got a PhD in curriculum and instruction with a focus on STEM education. So if that means anything to you, I am not a hardcore biologist. I am a hardcore biology educator. So my PhD is in education and not in biology. So while I've been working here, as I said before, I've been doing the university now doing the biology lab now for about 6 years. I've had about 11,000 students. It's been something that's been really amazing. I've gotten the opportunity, I've written 8 books, and I have this website where I'm working on getting the love of science out there. So that's a little bit about me. And there's my kiddo. His name is Guppy. So he is a hoot. One of the things that I think is really interesting is that I'm actually a natural blonde. And when my son got old enough, he's like, oh, I wish you had hair like me. And I said, well, alrighty then. So I dyed my hair this color. This is not my natural color. I'm actually a blonde. But thank goodness I look okay with dark hair.
So he was born with dark hair?
Oh, yeah. He's got jet black hair. He's gorgeous. And so he's 6. He just started first grade. But kind of why I have enjoyed doing biology over the years is that I'm an avid scuba diver. So I've been scuba diving all over the world. My dad and I love to go diving like in extreme ways. If I can find the pictures, I'll find them. My dad and I went scuba diving, the cage diving with the great white sharks, where they're trying to get in there and eat you. We were in South Africa. It was amazing. So Shark Week, I've done that. And I've been to the Galapagos Islands. I actually rode on a 600-pound tortoise, so that was kind of awesome. And I had another website that I used to use a while ago where I used to keep track of everything. And it's still up. I just don't really update it since I've been doing the 7-Minute Scientist. But that's me holding a alligator, and that's my son and I at a giraffe farm. So that was kind of amazing. So in talking about how you are going to be successful in this course, please make sure that you're attending class. It says every Tuesday, but I really mean Tuesday and Thursday. Keep up to date on Springboard. Make sure that you're keeping up on your reading. If you fall behind on your reading, that's the fastest way to not know what's going on in this class. Make sure that you're keeping up with the reading. The adage is that for every 1 hour in class, you should spend 2 hours out of class. So for a class like this, if it's a 4 credit hour class, you should be spending 8 hours outside of class a week on that. I know that that may seem a little overwhelming to some of you, and I don't think 8 hours is what you need to spend every week. But if you're not spending a couple hours reading and watching the videos and doing the homework and the assignments for class, it's pretty easy to fall behind. So please make sure you keep up with that. I think I already talked about this. I did. Okay. So we can skip that. I think we talked about that too. What are your exams like? Exams are going to be approximately 60 multiple choice questions. They will not be straight definitions. I'll never do like, what's the definition of this word, or what's the definition of this word. They'll be more of understanding the words in context. I guess I put that they're going to be in the computer-based testing center, so that's where they're going to be. If you've never been in the computer-based testing center, you should go over there and take a look at it and know what's going on there. You have to have your zip card in order to go into the computer-based testing center. So if you don't have one of those, make sure that you get one. In fact, I would say you should have your zip card with you all the time. For those of you that live in the dorms, you use it to swipe into the dorms. You should definitely have that. The exams will take about 60 minutes, but I'll give you a 90-minute window, and I'll open them up on the Thursdays from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., so if you need to take longer, you have plenty of time in which to take them. And that way we're not all sitting in this room like furiously poring over doing the exams. Sometimes the exams have waits to go into the computer-based testing center, especially if it's a busy time of the semester, like during midterms or during finals. You will not immediately know the results, because one of the things I do is look back at the exams and see if everybody missed one of the questions. Either I wrote a messed up question or there's something wrong with it. So sometimes I may throw questions out and things like that. I will warn you, the exams are hard. You definitely need to be studying for those. You're definitely going to need to be reading for those. And if you have questions, I'll do review sessions before we have those exams. Yes?
I noticed that you had up here on Thursdays from 4 to 7.
Yeah.
When it says so on the day of exams, we won't be meeting in this room?
Correct.
Okay.
You are correct. That you can go over to the computer-based testing center and take it as you need to.
But we can only go in between 4 and 7. We couldn't go
Correct.
before 4 o'clock.
Right. It'll start at 4, and then the last time you can log in is 7. Yeah. And they close at 8. So I think that'll give you 4 hours within which to take it. The 4 exams will be on September 9th, October 7th, November 11th, and those 3 exams will count for your exam grades. If you miss one of those exams for any reason, then I will have you take the makeup the week of the finals. And if you find that, let's say you do really awful on exam 1, that you can take the final in order to replace that grade. Or if you miss it and you just want to take the final, you can replace that grade. So the final exam will be comprehensive questions from the entire semester, and you can definitely take that if you feel like you need to do better, or if you happen to miss one of the exams and you don't take that exam. So 3 exams for this class. Yes?
I was just about to say that, and previously you had September 11th, which is a Thursday.
Okay. It is September 11th.
Okay.
So I apologize. Good call on that. I must have problems with my calendar.
All of them.
Son of a gun? What the heck? Let me see if I put it in on my syllabus.
Syllabus is Thursday.
Son of a gun.
September, October, November are Tuesday days.
Yep, I am on crack. I apologize for that. Yes, so it will be.
The syllabus is right.
The syllabus is right. My PowerPoint is wrong. I apologize. So, yes, I'm sorry about that. I'll go through and I'll fix that up and make sure that, let's see.
And as far as you write, if we pass all the tests, we don't have to take the final?
Correct.
Oh.
If you pass all the tests, you don't have to take the final. But if you want to pass all the tests and take the final and you do better on the final than any of the tests, I'll replace them with that score.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
She'll take our lowest score and replace it with if we got a better score
Yes.
for our final.
Yes.
But if we're happy with what we have.
If you're happy with what you have, then you get what you want. So, does that make sense to everybody?
Yes, I just wanted to clarify.
Okay. Okay. So at this point, what I'm going to go through, how am I doing for time?
This is about to be soon. Well, since you're
There a-
teacher, we walk with you, so we don't know.
Okay. So I just want to make sure that I don't end up keeping you too late. So in going through what we're going to be talking about over the course of the semester, you don't need to write any of this down. You just need to listen to what we're going to talk about over the course of the semester. So in the first unit, which is going to be what will go up until the first exam, we're going to be talking about what makes up life. The tenets of biology. Biology is the study of living things. So what are the things that make up life? In the first chapter, we'll be talking about scientific thinking, basically your scientific method, and the way that we understand the world around us. How do scientists understand things as opposed to how historians understand things, how people that are religious understand things? How do scientists study this world around us? We'll get into scientific method, how to set up an experiment, how to use science to make wise decisions, and then we'll talk about the major themes of biology. In the second chapter, we're not going to get into hardcore chemistry because nobody likes that. We're going to talk about what are the basic building blocks of life. So we will talk about atoms and their structure, just the basic understanding of it. We'll talk about why water is essential for life, about carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. So basically, anybody in here who's ever done a carb-controlled diet, you know what a carbohydrate is. Any of you that are athletes have probably done protein packing, and we'll talk about why protein is essential for life. Lipid is fats, and then nucleic acids is basically the building blocks of DNA. In the third chapter, we will get into cells, which are the smallest things that make up you. So in order to be alive, you have to be composed of cells. That's part of cell theory. And we've never found anything out there that is alive that doesn't have cells in it. So that's one of the tenets of biology. We'll talk about the two different types. There are cells that are prehistoric, which are very primitive, and we have cells that are modern. We'll talk about their structure and functions and some of the ways in which molecules move across the membranes into and out of the cells. We will describe how they're connected and how they communicate with one another. And then the important landmarks in eukaryotic cells, those are basically the cells that make up you. And if you remember back to high school, this was the thing that I think most biologists kind of focus on in high school. Is like, did you ever make the cake with the little cell organelles on it? I feel like, you missed out. That's one thing I used to make my students do in Texas is I would have them make a cake that was a cell, and they would use all different types of candies to represent the cell organelles. So I'll have to find some pictures of it. That was awesome. And we ate a lot of candy. In the second unit, we'll be talking about DNA. This is where it gets interesting when we talk about crime scene analysis or talk about how we understand genetics, how we understand how things are passed along from parents to offspring. The first chapter that we'll talk about when it comes to section 2 is basically how we get energy going from the sun all the way through the plants and through the consumers and the producers and all of that good stuff. We will talk about a little bit about photosynthesis and cellular respiration, but we're not going to get too detailed into that. And we'll talk about some alternative forms of energy, talking about DNA and gene expression and a little bit of biotechnology. I think that students often find this interesting because we've been talking more in the news these days about altering genes and how could we alter our children so they don't get diseases, or how could we have superhumans through cloning. We'll talk about the genetic code and how DNA actually works, and I think that that should be pretty interesting. We're also bioengineering our food these days so that we can grow more of our food in smaller areas using less pesticides, less herbicides. We also have our animals that we're bioengineering, so we have chickens with bigger breasts and cows that make more milk and tomatoes that are bigger and taste better. All kinds of implications for us because we're eating that stuff. In Chapter 6, we'll talk about chromosomes. This is kind of interesting. I have no idea why they used that picture. That is true. But what does that have to do with chromosomes?
Right.
I don't have any idea. So I apologize. I'm not sure about that. Maybe I need to read the book better to figure out why. So talking about cell division and mitosis and meiosis and eggs and sperms and all of that good stuff. In Unit 3, we'll be talking about how traits are passed along through the generations. Here we have genes and inheritance. So why do families look the same? I think that would have been better with the Jackson 5.
Why?
Interesting. We'll be talking a little bit about what evolution is and what evolution is not. I think that that's one of the things that's often misunderstood by students. And we'll talk about natural selection, which is this idea that the strongest survive and they go on to reproduce and pass along these traits to their offspring, and the things that are weak or bad ideas are going to die off. We'll talk about Darwin and the 4 mechanisms that give rise to evolution, and that's one of my favorite things to talk about, so we will get to that eventually. We'll talk about how evolution has impacted behavior. If you've been to lab this week, you've seen how termite behavior is impacted by certain characteristics, and how termites are capable of communicating with one another, how they cooperate, and how conflict in the animal world is part of the reason that things are always growing and changing over time. Let's see. We'll talk about cooperation and selfishness. It's funny because every time I see that word now, I'm always going to think of that Kim Kardashian book. She should put out a book of selfies called Selfish. Like, what a name for your book, I guess. Whatever floats your boat. Sexual conflict, and then the design of signals. This one is really interesting because here at the University of Akron, we actually have a researcher who does... he studies the pads on the gecko feet and how they walk up walls and how they can stick to glass. And they're trying to design better sticky materials so that like a increased natural Velcro. It's interesting. Understanding biodiversity. And we'll talk a little bit about the research that happens here at the university. There is some interesting stuff going on, and there's some stuff that's like crazy. We'll talk about how life could have originated from non-living materials, the biodiversity, and some evolutionary trees. Then when we get to animal diversification. I think this is one of the things students like to talk about the most because talking about ecology is talking about something that we can all picture happening around the world, how we can have such a diverse array of creatures around the planet. Some of the distinctions between the species, we'll talk about invertebrates and vertebrates and amphibians, birds, mammals, all that good stuff. And then we'll talk about some of the wild and crazy biodiversity that we find. This was awesome. I just found this on a website today. I Googled biodiversity and I looked under Google News, and they found a new species of primate, and it's adorable. So that's amazing. We'll talk about population ecology. You can never really just talk about organisms by themselves. You have to talk about how they live with others. And so that's interesting to study how they work together and how they sometimes do not work together. And then, let's see, how they interact between each other and with their environment. And so that's when we'll really get into the environmental factors. Then we have ecosystems and communities and organisms and their environment. And we will talk about weather and chemicals and energy and some other interesting things. And then finally, conservation and biodiversity. How do we keep this broad array of creatures that we have around the world from going extinct? And how do we preserve these natural resources that we have? And that humans, as much as we like one another, have been a very damaging species to the environment. So on Thursday, we're going to get together. We'll talk about chapters 1 and the beginning of chapter 2. Right now, what I would suggest that you do is log on to Springboard, take a look at the course. As I said, I like to do a lot of stuff with videos, so I'm going to try and record a whole bunch of videos this semester. And I don't know that we'll have an assignment due by Thursday, but you should at least start looking at chapter 1. And if you haven't purchased your book yet, or you got one through Amazon and it's coming along, there is a copy of the book in the library. And it was wonderful to meet you all, and I'll see you guys on Thursday.
Thank you.